and the second is like it. You must love your neighbor as you love yourself. So this is the third part of our Matthew 22 trilogy that we've been looking at. This response that Jesus has to the question, what is the greatest commandment? And you'll remember from our last devotion, if you haven't watched it, take a look at it too. He responds to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then he invites us to recognize a second. Now, I think Jesus is taking some liberties here, right? He was asked which is the greatest commandment, and he's offering two, but you'll see how they're part and parcel, right? His response is this. We are to love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, absolutely. But then we're also to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Jesus recognizes that the law of God is love, absolutely is love. But it isn't just our love for God. It isn't just our faithfulness to God. It's our faithfulness to the invitation of love that God creates us with and calls us to. Which means that it is not enough to simply love God. We need to also love our neighbors as we love ourselves. I don't think that Jesus is saying here that it's supposed to be an equal love of ourselves and others, in the sense that on days where I really love myself, I have to really love my neighbor, or on days when I'm not really good at loving myself, I don't have to be really good at loving my neighbor. I don't think that's what Jesus is suggesting. I don't think it's a comparison love. Rather, I think what Jesus is reminding us is that yes, we need to love God, yes, we need to love ourselves, but we cannot stop there, because that is not the totality of God's love. The totality of God's love is, yes, a reciprocal love for God from us, and a love for ourselves, but it absolutely has to include a love for our neighbor. Now, I didn't include this in the reading, but it sums up with this idea that all of the law and the prophets, all of the laws and the prophets are wrapped up in these two: loving God, loving neighbor, loving self. Everything is included. And so I'll offer this thought too. As we hear these two commands that Jesus lifts up as the greatest, reminding us that all the laws and the prophets are bound up in them, when you find yourself reading from the Torah, those first 5 books of the Bible, and you come across a law that you question as of how it could be of God, I want you to ask yourself, how might it be interpreted around the question of loving God, loving self, and loving others? Maybe it's not how we've always read it. Maybe we need to rethink it, re-see it, and seek to understand it through the lens of love. Amen.